This is MJ. Welcome to another review of Mobile Fighter G Gundam. So this is King of Hearts, Queen of Sorrows, my series, talking all about G Gundam. Every single episode, all 49 or so of them. This time I'm going to be talking about G Gundam episode 35, and I kind of had an idea about how to do things a little differently, so I'm going to start off with a real short general review of the episode, and then talk about some issues. So the thing that's going on right now in 35 is that Domon has to fight a tag team match because Wong thought that he was spying on him and thought that he had seen the Dark Gundam being resurrected in the underground lair or whatever. It was actually Schwartz and Rain. Did she stumble upon it? She was just nearby. Anyway, I don't think she saw the Dark Gundam yet, but that's basically what happens. And there's a fight. A tag team match with Malaysia and I can't remember the other country, but one of them is Ashura Gundam, and again I can't remember the other, or Skull Gundam. That's what it's, Ashura Gundam and Skull Gundam. Anyway, so they end up doing a tag team match against, oh, these are really pretty flowers, against wow, these are beautiful. Sheesh. Huh. Alright, one of the hazards of doing a review while walking around outside to get a little exercise too is you'll get distracted by really beautiful things. Anyway, what happens is there's this tag team match, and Domon and Allenby win. They are victorious, but it kind of deepens the rift, or a rift, between Rain and Domon, and gosh, I think there's really something there. Oh, and then at the end, the setup is that Wong's going to make Domon fight his fellow Shuffle Alliance members, and that's kind of an upset, or kind of an upsetting thing to Domon, especially because those guys are really top combatants, and they're likely to beat him, or the odds are higher that they can defeat him, and that'll mess things up for him, and the whole thing. If you've been following along with the show, the drama that that this pushes, that how this raises the stakes for everybody involved, and it's really cool. And I thought it was a really solid episode. There was a lot of funny bits in it. Some with Rain, like I named the episode, speaking, you want to talk about BUNS, get yours out of here, because of this line that she has. But it kind of touches on a more serious thing that I want to go ahead and transition to talking about right now, because my review is pretty much done. I liked the episode; it was good, but there were some things in here that I have other thoughts about that I want to share with you. So I mentioned the rift between Rain and Domon, and I think that there's like a subtext of infidelity here that is being brought up, because Rain comes home with groceries, so to speak, with groceries, and finds Domon and Allenby together in the cockpit of the Gundam, and they're working on it. Rain is the one who works on the Gundam. She works inside the cockpit. She does those sorts of repairs and optimizes the system and whatever for Domon. So Allenby is stepping into her territory. She's touching things that only Rain has touched, and up until this point, and servicing these things for Domon to help the Gundam run better and to make sure that it's properly maintained. Later on in the episode, during the tag team match, Allenby and Domon grasp hands with their Gundams, and when they do that, it is visually reminiscent of how Rain and how Burning Gundam and Shining Gundam had to grasp hands in the Guiana Highlands in order to transfer all the data so that Domon could get the Gundam fully operating and fly off to Hong Kong to be there for the finals. And that instance felt very romantic. Rain was encountering all of Domon's thoughts and feelings, and she had a very prominent visage or representation in his mind, and it seemed to indicate that he thought very highly of her, and it felt like a very intimate moment. I personally think grasping hands, especially with fingers in a lace like that, is an intimate gesture or intimate way to interact with somebody, and it was something, again, that we've seen Domon and Rain do. And what's more than that, when they grasped hands or clasped hands, and all the data was transferred and everything, Domon in the Gundam was empowered and became super powerful and super capable of doing fighting Master Asia or whatever he had to do so that he could leave. And it was a very special thing. It felt like a climax was reached, so to speak, and there was like a breakthrough for them. And again, G Gundam is made for children primarily, but there is a certain... There's ways you can translate things, you can code things so that they feel a certain way. So basically what I'm saying is the moment in the Guiana Highlands kind of felt like a very intimate, consensual act, so to speak. And the aftermath of that was it shifted and changed Domon, and it in some ways empowered him to do things, or to feel enough confidence in himself, or feel good enough about himself that he could do things that he had formerly been able to do, and it kind of changed him as a person, which I believe intimacy does, especially that, the highest level of intimacy. And again, Rain sees Allenby stepping into her territory, and at the end of the fight, she remarks tearfully, I mean, there aren't actually tears in her eyes, but the eyes look like they are welling up with tears. And the line delivery of the dub actress is such that, and the framing of the shot and everything too, is such that it feels to me like she feels as if Allenby has taken part in that intimate act with Domon, and she is truly being his partner, or she not being his partner was able to do what his partner Rain should have been able to do, which is help him in that situation. But I think, even though it's a fighting situation, I still think it is reflective of that intimacy thing. And it's really interesting to me because Rain's comment at the end, or at that time, makes it seem like she feels alienated and sort of betrayed in that sense. And I think it's a really interesting thing, especially because, I guess, because of the way it plants seeds for things to happen later on in the series. But gosh, it's I don't know, it's really powerful and very moving, and I think the way it was written has a lot of impact, and I think it reads and it bleeds through, even if you're a kid watching this and you don't really get the whole, highest level of intimacy thing, and like the infidelity that seems to have been brought to the fore in this episode. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. Now I want to talk about something else. So I've brought up before the fact that I really enjoy the way G Gundam represents the differences between the sexes, so to speak, and the way women are shown to be strong and the way men are shown to be strong. You've got Chapman and Manon as an example of men and women both possessing and harnessing strength. We have Rain and Domon. We see that she is very competent, she's very capable. She not only is a doctor and an engineer and a beautiful singer and all these other things, but she has combat training. She's able to fire various types of firearms. She was able to pilot the Gundam on her own. At least once she's gotten in the Gundam and helped Domon to fight by mirroring his movements and helping him to use a more powerful version of the Sekihauten, or not that's later, of burning finger and stuff like that. So women aren't shown as less than or not equal to men. However, with the exception of Allenby, I cannot think of any other female Gundam fighters in the show. Putting all that aside, I think that some very interesting things are being said with the juxtaposition of Allenby and Domon. So Allenby's Gundam looks like Sailor Moon, basically. It looks like a woman. It's got these long hair pieces coming off of its head. It's like in a sailor, high school girl uniform, basically is, it's Neo Sweden, but for whatever reason, Noble Gundam looks like a Japanese high schooler in a Gundam form. And I don't really know why that is or whatever, probably just because it's cute. And one of her weapons, instead of a lightsaber, she's got like a baton. But, more than that, what I wanted to focus on was when they are getting into their Gundams and doing the, trace sequence or whatever to fully sync with their Gundam so they can fight. Domun's affect is dour, dire, serious, and rigid, while Allenby's demeanor is it's effervescent, it's downright cute, it's bubbly, and she looks like she's having fun. She looks like she is going to enjoy the combat they're about to enter into. And when she was introduced, we had an interesting discussion or something pointed out in the script that Domon says, hey, she's just like me. She has no family. Her government, whatever, the military, is pushing her into the fight, and she's kind of been raised for this. And I think Domon, he wasn't literally raised for it. He was raised to be this incredible martial artist, and he got roped into the Gundam fight because of the situation with his family. So in that way, I can see what he's saying. But a key difference is that he has always purposely used his anger, his hate, and all of his sorrow to empower himself and to use those things as a fuel to focus his energies so that he could fight and win. And Allenby has always wanted to, or no, not always, she has on her side, the people controlling her Gundam or her crew from Sweden, pushing on her the use of the Berserker system. And the use of the Berserker system overwrites everything, and it shuts her out and just turns her into this rage beast, which the imagery of what she looks like is similar to what Domon used to look like when he would use Burning Finger and the super mode and stuff in anger. And I don't really know what's being said by all of that, but they are equally competent combatants, martial artists, whatever, and they've been shown to be on equal footing, basically. He's a little bit better than her, I guess, but they're almost identical in their level of skill and ability. And it's ironic or interesting to me that she approaches everything, or the Gundam fight, from a sense of joy, and she it's not pride even, it's a game to her that she can enjoy to escape from the negative things in her life and how dull it would be otherwise. And for Domon, it's something that he uses. So I would say she's living to fight, sort of, because it's the enjoyment she gets in between whatever else, between the mundanity of her life. And I would say Domon is fighting to live because he's locked in this fight. And if Allenby loses, I don't think anything really bad will happen to her. The country or her military people will be irritated, shamed, whatever. But if Domon loses, his dad stays in cryogenic freeze. The Dark Gundam could potentially rule everything, and whatever. There'd be all these negative repercussions, and I feel like they're coming at things from two different places, and I don't know if that has as much to do with them being a man and a woman or just the circumstances of their lives, as cast by the show. But it's interesting to me that this woman, through her enthusiasm for fighting and her love of the game of the martial arts and the Gundam fight, is able to reach such high levels on her own. Naturally, she's been able to accomplish this, and Domon has been through so much to learn to tap into and reach a state of a serene mind so that he can be his most powerful. And it's just kind of an interesting examination to me of the strength that men and women have and how it differs. And I just think it's really neat. Anyway, I don't know what more to say, and I feel like I'm starting to loop in on myself. But anyway, if you're looking at the video version, there's lots of great images from the show that I have popping up on the screen right now for you to enjoy. They'll probably also be on the blog at mjmunoz.com. You can look up King of Hearts Queen of Sorrows, or just type in KHQS in the search bar and you'll be able to find it, because I have it tagged as that. Yeah, it's funny. I used to do this show in a lot more structured way, and I would have called this 2 or 3 last episodes, the Wong is Evil arc, or Wong is Wrong arc, because these episodes show to everybody involved, the Shuffle Alliance and so forth, that Wong is a bad guy. And even Master Asia thinks he's going too far and doesn't like what he's doing, which is pretty interesting. There's also some cool visuals that are here that are just this show's ridiculous in how it presents some of the martial arts and stuff, and I really love it. It really tickles me. But one last thing, I think it's odd how the fighters from other nations, malign nations or less popular or prominent nations in the world, their fighters have weirdly colored skin, and they're not plug suits, but they're Under Armour, whatever, doesn't really make sense because it doesn't represent their nation's flag or anything like that. It's just a skull or a spider or something evil looking, and it's that's dumb. I don't like that. Anyway, gosh, that's really all I have to say. I do a bunch of other podcasts, so if you're enjoying this through iTunes or through the whatever other podcast platform, you can find those all at mjmunoz.com. I have a podcast section where you can look at all the different things I'm doing, and if not, you can if you're over on YouTube where I have this posted up to you, you can check out the different playlists for the rest of Kingdom Hearts Queen of Sorrows and some of the other things that I'm reviewing, anime, tokusatsu, etc. I almost forgot before I go. Did you read the whole Allenby, Rain, Domon stuff happening this episode as possibly hinting at infidelity, or do you agree with me that some of the stuff reads kind of like intimacy and there's a betrayal or trust being betrayed? Because I sure think it does, and I'd love to know what you think about that. And even my comments about the way strength of men and women is represented in Gundam specifically, and if you think technically Allenby's probably a little bit stronger than Domon because how in joy and in love of the game she's been able to ascend to the heights that she is, versus he's doing it all out of desperation and hate for the most part. I just wondering. mjmunoz.com is home for all my work, podcasts and reviews of anime, tokusatsu, Star Wars, and more, plus my original writings. If you didn't enjoy this, critique me. If you did, leave me a comment. If you really like this, consider tipping me at coffee.com/mjmunoz. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Until next time, be well.